Hello friends. What if I told you that people born on February 13th aren't just unique? They're cosmic anomalies, the kind of people who disrupt the norm, magnetize others without trying, and walk the tightrope between genius and rebellion? It's true. Born under the bold sign of Aquarius and influenced by the number 4 in numerology, February 13th individuals are full of paradoxes, intellectual yet emotional, independent but deeply loving, and deeply rooted in truth, but sometimes haunted by their own ideals. Today, we're diving deep, really deep, into the world of people born on February 13th. From love and sex to money and mysticism, from Western astrology to Druidic trees and Vedic nakshatras, you're about to uncover what makes this birthday so spiritually potent and irresistibly magnetic. Astrological profile: February 13th Aquarius Sun. Let's dive deeper into what it really means to be born on February 13th. At first glance, it's a classic Aquarian birthday, eccentric, intelligent, independent. But February 13th Aquarians aren't just out-of-the-box thinkers, they built the box just to deconstruct it. Born under the 11th sign of the zodiac, they're ruled by Uranus, the planet of surprise and change, but they also carry strong secondary influences from Mercury communication and Saturn discipline, giving them an edge most Aquarians don't fully embody. This rare planetary mix makes them unusually perceptive, able to scan a room and read unspoken tensions. They're futurists, dreamers, and disruptors, often several steps ahead of societal trends. You know that one person who was talking about crypto before 2010, already drinking matcha lattes before it was cool, or predicting the AI revolution back when people still feared email? That's your classic February 13th Aquarius. They tend to live in their own mental world, which makes them fascinating, but also a little enigmatic. Others often project meanings onto them, trying to figure them out like a living puzzle. And they kind of like that. They don't chase attention, but they magnetize it, through a quiet confidence that never asks permission to be bold. There's also a peculiar duality to them. On one side, they deeply value freedom, spontaneity, and change. On the other, they have a surprising need for structure and clarity. That's the Saturn effect, bringing form to the chaos. It means they can balance rebellion with responsibility, idealism with pragmatism, invention with tradition. They can be incredibly focused when inspired, losing track of time in pursuit of a goal that excites them intellectually or morally. But if stuck in routine or surrounded by closed-minded people, they'll rebel, ghost, or completely transform their environment. They're not afraid to walk away from comfort to chase purpose. Socially, February 13th Aquarians are original thinkers and compelling conversationalists. They often end up being the quiet leader in a group, the one who doesn't yell the loudest but is listened to the most. Whether through art, speech, business, or activism, they always leave a unique fingerprint on the world around them. Love and romance. Loving someone born on February 13th is not a simple affair, but it is an unforgettable one. These Aquarians approach love the way an inventor approaches a problem, with fascination, curiosity, and a complete disregard for traditional blueprints. They're more likely to be intrigued by your mind than your outfit, your weird ideas more than your resume. If you can make them laugh, challenge them intellectually, and respect their need for space, you might just be the one they're willing to orbit. At the beginning of a relationship, they often keep their emotions tightly sealed. It's not that they're cold, they're just cautious. Vulnerability is a language they speak slowly, and they're constantly observing, are you real? Do you see me beyond the surface? Only when they feel safe and mentally understood do they reveal the soft, loyal, and deeply affectionate parts of themselves. When they fall unusually. They won't be the ones writing cliché love notes or planning date nights at fancy restaurants. Think instead. Cryptic playlists, philosophical love rants, handmade gifts crafted at 3 a.m., and deep conversations under starlight. Their love language is originality. If you can join them in their offbeat romantic universe, you'll never feel more alive. But beware, possessiveness and emotional manipulation are deal breakers. They need freedom like others need air. The moment a relationship starts to feel like a cage, they either rebel or disappear. Yet ironically, Once given that freedom, they often remain stunningly loyal. They also believe in love evolving. The idea of being one static version of themselves for the next 50 years is horrifying. They need a partner who can evolve with them, someone open to growth, reinvention, and the occasional life reset. Stagnation is the enemy, stimulation is salvation. They're not big on PDA or traditional roles in relationships, but they express love in subtle, powerful ways. Defending you fiercely when needed, listening without judgment, or showing up exactly when it counts. If you've ever had a partner who challenged you to be smarter, freer, and truer to yourself, it was probably a February 13th Aquarius. Emotionally, they can be paradoxical, deeply feeling, yet hard to read, passionate, but seemingly detached. The key is understanding their emotional flow. They feel most at home in connections that are based on mutual freedom, respect, and depth. Anything shallow, clingy, or overly scripted, not gonna last. Most compatible signs in love. Gemini. This is an electrifying mental connection. Geminis and February 13th Aquarians can talk for hours, and still not run out of things to say. They challenge each other intellectually, spark each other's creativity, and have a shared disdain for predictability. It's friendship turned into fireworks. Libra. A relationship built on shared ideals, aesthetic pleasures, and deep understanding. Libra brings charm and balance. Aquarius brings originality and vision. Together, they form a mentally and emotionally supportive bond that encourages growth on both sides. Sagittarius. These two are fellow freedom lovers, thrill seekers, and rule breakers. Their shared zest for life creates a vibrant relationship full of travel, philosophy, and daring dreams. Emotional drama is rare. They prefer clarity, adventure, and mutual respect. Aries. Bold meets bold. Aries' fiery passion keeps Aquarius on their toes, while Aquarius' detached intellect fascinates Aries. It's not always smooth, but it's never boring. This duo learns from each other and pushes limits, both in the bedroom and in life. Aquarius. A cosmic mirror match. Two Aquarians together can build an entire reality no one else understands, but it works. They honor each other's independence, share similar worldviews, and thrive on mutual weirdness. Leo. Though opposite signs, this pairing can work with effort. Leo brings warmth and loyalty. Aquarius brings vision and detachment. When they learn to respect their differences, this can become a dynamic power couple rooted in mutual admiration. Least compatible signs in love. Cancer. Too emotionally intense and protective for the freedom-loving February 13th Aquarius. Cancers need constant emotional reassurance, while Aquarians need breathing room. Misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and emotional misfires abound in this pairing. Taurus. Taurus craves stability, routine, and physical closeness. Aquarius wants mental stimulation, change, and space. While there's potential for grounding, their opposing needs often result in frustration and slow emotional erosion. Scorpio. While attraction can be magnetic, the emotional control and possessiveness that often comes with Scorpio energy clashes hard with Aquarius' need for autonomy. Power struggles, jealousy, and intensity can create a volatile emotional battleground. Pisces. Pisces' emotional fluidity and dreamy nature might seem appealing at first, but over time, Aquarius can find them too vague or emotionally overwhelming. Without strong communication and grounding, this pairing can drift apart quickly. Virgo. Virgo's perfectionism and need for order can clash with Aquarius' chaotic brilliance. Virgo wants to fix. Aquarius doesn't want to be fixed. Their communication styles are often at odds, creating subtle but persistent friction. Capricorn. While both are ruled in part by Saturn, Capricorn's traditionalism and cautious nature may dampen Aquarius' spontaneity and need for future-oriented thinking. Without a shared vision, this pairing can feel emotionally sterile. Marriage and commitment. You wouldn't expect someone as fiercely independent and mentally agile as a February 13th Aquarius to be the marrying type, but that's exactly what makes them so surprising. When they do choose to commit, it's never out of obligation or social pressure. It's because they've found someone who feels like home and freedom at the same time. someone who sees the fire in their mind and wants to fan it, not tame it. Traditional marriage roles rarely appeal to them. They don't want a life built on expectation or outdated norms. Instead, they seek a partnership based on creativity, equality, and innovation. They are more likely to build a marriage like a passion project, completely custom designed, full of shared dreams, and free from convention. A white picket fence life? Only if that fence is solar-powered, made of recycled materials, and painted turquoise. They're also not the kind to demand constant togetherness. February 13th Aquarians actually thrive when both partners have space to grow individually. They see marriage not as two people becoming one, but as two fully formed souls walking side by side, facing the world as co-visionaries. Their ideal marriage is like a jazz duet, improvisational, soulful, and never the same twice. That said, they do crave emotional depth. They just don't always show it in typical ways. They may not verbalize their affection constantly, but they'll demonstrate commitment through consistent actions, supporting your dreams, creating with you, and pushing you to evolve. Their loyalty runs deep, even if they don't wear it on their sleeve. They're often drawn to equally unconventional partners, someone who's unafraid to break rules, dream bigger, or live unconventionally. Together, they make an unusual yet magnetic team. This could look like a couple who works remotely while traveling the world, starts a nonprofit together, or raises their kids in an off-grid eco-village. Weird? Maybe. Fulfilled? Definitely. For a February 13th Aquarius, marriage isn't about fitting in. It's about building something. Something intelligent, passionate, electric, something that makes both partners feel more alive. The secret to long-term happiness? Never try to own or contain them. Celebrate their complexity, support their evolution, and give them room to be exactly who they are. In return, they'll love you fiercely and endlessly. Sex and intimacy. Let's talk about sexual chemistry, because when it comes to people born on February 13th, it's not just a physical thing. For them, sex is a psychological, emotional, and intellectual experience. It's not about going through the motions. It's about understanding the unspoken language between bodies and minds. February 13th Aquarians are endlessly curious and wildly inventive when it comes to intimacy. They aren't afraid to ask, what if, and that question applies to everything from bedroom dynamics to redefining what intimacy even is. They need a strong mental connection before things get physical. For them, arousal often begins in the brain. A stimulating conversation, a shared secret, or even an abstract idea can be more seductive than physical touch. In fact, their most passionate encounters often follow hours of deep, exploratory dialogue or philosophical banter. If they can't talk to you, they probably won't want to touch you. There's also a deep streak of emotional freedom in their approach to intimacy. February 13th individuals must feel like they can be 100% themselves in the bedroom, quirks, fantasies, humor, awkward moments, and all. They don't perform, they experience. And they want their partner to experience, too, not just go along for the ride, but co-create something electric, new, and unrepeatable. They're also the kind of lovers who enjoy exploring boundaries, both emotional and physical. Not for shock value, but because they're fascinated by what makes people tick. They might be into kink, role play, or offbeat settings, but only if it's rooted in trust, consent, and shared curiosity. The key isn't what's happening, it's why it's happening. If it sparks a deeper connection or reveals a hidden truth, they're in. What truly turns them on, though, is authenticity. Pretending to be someone you're not? Huge turn off. Trying too hard to be sexy? They'll see right through it. They crave realness, vulnerability, moments of raw honesty that pierce the surface and reveal the heart underneath. That's where their passion lives. One more secret? February 13th Aquarians are unpredictable in bed, in the best way. You never know what to expect. One night it might be slow, poetic, and emotionally profound. The next, wild, chaotic, and completely spontaneous. But boredom? That's the one thing that will never, ever happen. Friendship vibes. If you're lucky enough to have a February 13th Aquarius in your life, you've likely realized, this is no ordinary friend. They don't just make friends, they collect them, like rare art pieces or obscure vinyl records. Their circles are often filled with fascinating characters, radical thinkers, musicians, coders, poets, social reformers, or that one person who's been living in a treehouse for 10 years just because. February 13th individuals have a magnetic pull that draws in the misfits, the misunderstood, and the visionary alike. And they wouldn't want it any other way. Their friendships are based on one simple rule: authenticity or nothing. They have zero interest in superficial bonds or obligatory small talk. What they crave is depth, humor, weirdness, and that unspoken vibe that says, yeah, you get it. They can spot a fake in 5 seconds flat and will quietly back away if they sense someone's trying too hard to impress. But if you're real with them from day one, they'll never forget you. They're often the creative ringleaders in their social groups, the ones proposing game nights with bizarre rules, impromptu road trips to ghost towns, or experimental dinner parties where everyone brings a dish and a conspiracy theory. Their events feel like a mash-up of TED Talks, Burning Man, and a Wes Anderson film. Strange? Absolutely. But deeply memorable, always. Now, let's address the Aquarian elephant in the room: emotional detachment. Yes, February 13th folks can go Mia. They may disappear for a week without explanation or forget to reply to that heartfelt message you sent last Tuesday. But it's rarely personal. Their minds are like lightning storms of thought, constantly zapping from idea to idea. They live in the future, the abstract, the invisible. That sometimes makes them forget the here and now. But here's the part people don't always see: when it really matters, when the chips are down, when you need someone in your corner, they show up. Not just with words, but with actions. They're the ones driving 3 hours in the middle of the night to help you move. Or crafting a playlist that says everything they struggle to express out loud. Their loyalty doesn't scream, it shows. They don't need constant contact to maintain a friendship. With them, time and distance mean very little. You could go months without speaking, and then one deep, 3-hour phone call resets everything. They value quality over quantity, always. And though they often appear emotionally cool, they have a secret softness for their friends. They'll remember your birthday in a year when you forgot it yourself. They'll notice when you're quieter than usual and ask the right question. They might not say, "I love you," often, but they'll send you an article that changed their life and say, "Thought of you." That's Aquarian affection. Brain first, heart always there. Business, money, and career paths. People born on February 13th were never built for cubicles, clock punching, or cookie-cutter careers. Their minds are wired for innovation, disruption, and progress. Traditional roles tend to bore them unless they're allowed to redefine the job itself. They're the ones reimagining education systems from within, inventing eco-startups in their garage, or creating apps that no one realized they desperately needed until now. They don't work for the system, they reshape it. Professionally, they thrive when they have autonomy and creative freedom. Micromanagement is their nightmare. Trust and flexibility are their oxygen. If they feel boxed in or creatively stifled, they'll either break the system or walk away without looking back. Not out of spite, but because their purpose means more than a paycheck. Fields like technology, innovation, and futurism call to them like a siren song. AI, robotics, digital ethics, cryptocurrency, renewable energy. If it's bleeding edge and world-changing, they're intrigued. They're often the first in their field to ask, "What if we did it differently?" And they usually have the answer. But their talent isn't limited to logic and science. February 13th individuals have serious creative chops. Many become incredible writers, filmmakers, musicians, designers, or even inventors. They can take abstract concepts and express them in fresh, meaningful ways. Art and innovation are often two sides of the same coin for them. They're also deeply drawn to social change. You'll often find them in nonprofit work, activism, environmental design, or anything that blends progress with purpose. A February 13th Aquarius isn't content just making money, they want to make impact. They need to know their work is helping others, challenging norms, or shaping the future in some tangible way. Money, surprisingly, isn't usually their main motivator. Sure, they enjoy the freedom and stability it can bring, but they're far more interested in what they're doing than how much they're making. That said, when they align their career with their vision and stay focused, money often flows naturally. People are drawn to their ideas, their leadership, and their originality, and investors, collaborators, or clients tend to follow. Their challenge, structure, budgeting, routine, and admin work can feel soul-crushing to them. They often leave important paperwork undone, forget about invoices, or treat money like a minor inconvenience. That's where they need to level up, creating a financial system that works for them, not against their creativity. If they find the right career path, something that lets them think freely, create deeply, and contribute meaningfully, they're unstoppable. Visionaries, founders, game changers, the kind of people who leave a legacy, not just a LinkedIn profile. Because for them, work isn't about climbing a ladder, it's about building an entirely new one. Numerology, the power of 13 and 4. In numerology, February 13th carries a distinct vibration, one that merges the daring of the number 13 with the structural integrity of the number 4. First, let's decode it. Add 1 plus 3, and you get 4. But that reduction doesn't erase the power of the 13, it informs it. The result? A person who is at once grounded and radical, stable yet unpredictable. People born on this date often live at the intersection of rebellion and order. They are the builders of new realities, rebel architects, forging frameworks for the future while refusing to be caged by outdated rules. The number 4 in numerology is about structure, commitment, reliability, and systems. It's the number of the builder, the planner, the organizer. People with this core number often carry a deep inner code: work hard, play fair, protect your values, and earn your respect. February 13th individuals possess all this, but filtered through Aquarian energy, it's like giving a blueprint to a lightning storm. They'll follow the rules, right up until they invent better ones. This duality gives them the ability to combine vision with practicality. While many dreamers float in abstraction, the February 13th personality can manifest. They're the ones who not only come up with the next big idea but also figure out how to launch it, scale it, and make it sustainable. Whether it's building companies, movements, communities, or entirely new systems of thought, they have the long game patience to make it real. But there's a shadow side. That same number 4 energy can lead to rigidity, a desire for control, a tendency to get lost in perfectionism, or to overthink everything to the point of emotional paralysis. They may struggle with letting go of plans that no longer serve them, clinging to the architecture they've built, even when the foundation is crumbling. In relationships, they may seem overly analytical, emotionally distant, or resistant to vulnerability. Learning to flow is their lifelong challenge. Yet they are deeply moral people. Fairness matters to them. Integrity is non-negotiable. And once they commit to a person, idea, or mission, they're in it for real. They don't waver easily. But again, that's both a strength and a potential trap. The key lies in developing discernment between loyalty and stagnation. One of their superpowers? Intuition masked as logic. While they may appear analytical, February 13th people often receive intuitive hits, gut-level knowledge that bypasses linear thinking. They just need to trust it more. Over-reliance on logic can dull their magic. Their best decisions come when the heart and head work as a team. The real power of 4 here isn't in playing it safe. It's in creating a structure bold enough to hold chaos. In building systems that make space for freedom. In becoming the foundation other people can stand on, while still reaching for the stars themselves. Druid horoscope, cedar tree. In the ancient Celtic Druid tree horoscope, those born on February 13th fall under the powerful influence of the cedar tree, a symbol of confidence, strength, and innate magnetism. Cedars are rare, not because they hide, but because they shine. There's something unmistakable about their presence, like they carry a hidden flame inside, one that doesn't scream for attention but naturally draws eyes their way. They don't chase the spotlight, but the spotlight often finds them. Cedar-born individuals are known for their quiet confidence. They walk into a room with a sense of purpose, a certainty in their step that says, "I know who I am." This isn't arrogance, it's clarity. They have a solid sense of self, and that creates a gravitational pull. People are often drawn to them for guidance, strength, or simply the sense of stability they radiate. Passion also runs deep in Cedar souls. They may not be emotionally flashy, but their desires are intense. They invest themselves completely in the things they care about, whether it's a creative project, a cause, or a person. When they love, they do so fully, protectively, and with enduring loyalty. But that intensity can also become overbearing if they're not careful. They have a tendency to take on too much responsibility, to lead when leadership wasn't asked for, or to assume they must be the one to fix things. One of their signature strengths is elegance, both in appearance and demeanor. This doesn't always mean fashion or grooming, though they often have excellent taste. It's an internal poise, a natural grace that comes from knowing their worth. They are rarely petty, rarely messy. Even in chaos, they maintain a kind of regal presence. Think emotional nobility, not ego, but essence. But every tree has its shadows. For the cedar, it's pride. Their confidence, when unchecked, can morph into stubbornness or superiority. They may resist feedback, struggle to admit when they're wrong, or shut out perspectives that don't match their worldview. Vulnerability often feels like a threat to their inner strength, but it's actually the next level of their evolution. In truth, their greatest power comes not from standing tall, but from bending when needed. When they allow themselves to be fully human, not just capable and wise, they deepen their relationships, enrich their creativity, and connect more profoundly with others. Softness becomes their secret weapon. Cedar wisdom teaches that true confidence isn't about being unshakable, it's about trusting yourself enough to be shaken and still rise. Those born under this sign are destined to lead, to inspire, and to elevate others. But first, they must allow their own roots to run deep, not just in strength, but in tenderness. When they do, their presence becomes not just impressive, but transformative. Vedic Astrology, Dhanishta Nakshatra Capricorn, Aquarius cusp. In the rich and ancient system of Vedic astrology, individuals born on or around February 13th are typically aligned with Dhanishta Nakshatra, a powerful lunar mansion nestled between the signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. This nakshatra is ruled by Mars, the planet of drive, action, and warrior spirit, and is symbolized by a drum, a beating, living pulse that echoes themes of rhythm, timing, performance, and connectivity. It's one of the most complex and multi-layered nakshatras, and for February 13th natives, it offers both great promise and profound responsibility. At the core of Dhanishta is rhythm, not just in the musical sense, but in how these individuals move through life. February 13th people often have a deeply intuitive sense of timing. They know when to act, when to wait, and when to strike with precision. They may find themselves attracted to music, dance, or any profession that requires flow, pattern recognition, or timing, be it coding, choreography, orchestration, or even public speaking. The drum within them beats not just to entertain, but to guide and unite others. Socially, Dhanishta-born individuals are both charismatic and commanding. There's a magnetism in them that pulls people in. While they may appear cool or cerebral thanks to that Aquarian overlay, their Martian influence gives them an undercurrent of passion and raw vitality. When they speak, people listen, not just because of what they say, but because of the energy behind it. They don't just express, they transmit. This makes them natural leaders, especially in fields where creativity, performance, and communication intersect. Mars, their ruling planet, gifts them with intense ambition and courage. They often push into new territory, challenge existing norms, and initiate bold ventures, sometimes before the world is ready. There's a quiet fierceness to February 13th natives under this nakshatra. They don't need to dominate loudly. They lead through example, talent, and timing. They're the ones who may revolutionize their industry not with a shout, but with a perfect note, a flawless launch, or an unexpected pivot. However, their journey isn't without inner tension. The same Mars energy that gives them drive can also lead to restlessness and frustration, especially when their talents or visions go unexpressed. These individuals must create, they must share, Suppression of their creative or leadership instincts leads to inner turmoil, anxiety, or even emotional burnout. Stagnation is dangerous for them. It's not just uncomfortable, it feels like betrayal of their soul's calling. Emotionally, Dhanishta natives often walk a fine line between detachment and depth. The Capricorn, Aquarius cusp makes them intellectual and future-focused, while Mars pulls them into more instinctual, primal energy. As a result, they may struggle at times to reconcile their need for personal freedom with their desire for connection. They need partners and communities who understand that love, for them, must be in harmony with their internal rhythm. Anything that disrupts their flow, whether emotionally clingy relationships or rigid systems, will eventually push them to distance themselves. Spiritually, they are often drawn to sacred sound, cosmic order, and universal balance. Mantras, music, and rhythmic movement can become spiritual tools, not just hobbies. Their intuition is strongest when they are in alignment with the vibrational nature of life. When they learn to trust this inner beat, they become powerful conduits for healing, leadership, and innovation. In essence, those born under Dhanishta Nakshatra on February 13th are here to move others, not just emotionally, but culturally, spiritually, and intellectually. Their life is a drumbeat in human form, calling us to action, to beauty, to truth. Their challenge is to honor their rhythm, express their fire, and use their talents not just for success, but for something greater. Flower horoscope, orchid. If February 13th were a flower, it would be the orchid, an exotic, exquisite, and almost otherworldly bloom that perfectly mirrors the essence of those born under this date. Unlike common flowers that thrive in any garden, the orchid demands specific conditions. It needs the right mix of care, patience, and respect for its individuality. And once those conditions are met, it blossoms into something unforgettable, delicate yet powerful, rare yet deeply rooted in resilience. Orchids symbolize beauty, but not the obvious kind. Not showy roses or cheerful daisies. Their beauty is enigmatic, layered, and subtle. In the same way, February 13th individuals carry a mysterious charm. They're not always the loudest or most traditionally attractive person in the room, but there's something about them that draws people in. It might be the quiet intensity of their gaze, the unpredictable nature of their conversation, or the feeling that they're somehow tuned into a frequency others haven't yet discovered. This flower also represents strength through uniqueness. Just like orchids, February 13th people often feel different from those around them. They may grow up feeling othered, too intense, too smart, too emotional, too strange. But over time, they learn to see these traits not as flaws, but as features. Their difference becomes their superpower. The world may not always understand them, but when it does, it's captivated. Orchids are known for thriving in unusual or challenging environments, and so are February 13th individuals. Whether they grew up in strict households, unconventional communities, or through personal trials, they adapt in unexpected ways. They are emotional survivors, learning how to bend without breaking, how to grow in conditions that would stunt others. This makes them highly empathetic and deeply insightful, especially toward other outsiders. Emotionally, the orchid teaches a powerful lesson: true beauty requires time. Similarly, February 13th people often bloom late. They may not peak in youth or follow traditional life paths. Their success, their love life, their art, it all unfolds on a timeline that doesn't fit standard models. But when it happens big. They don't, sort of, succeed. They redefine success. They don't fall into ordinary love. They dive into something rare and all-consuming. Relationships with orchid personalities require patience. At first, they may appear distant or overly self-contained. But over time, as trust is built, their inner world reveals itself, rich, vibrant, and unlike anything you've seen before. Once they feel safe, they'll offer love that is both fierce and refined, full of nuance and electric passion. Just like the flower they're symbolically linked to, they require careful tending, but the reward is something unforgettable. Orchids also represent spiritual evolution and inner wisdom. People born on February 13th often have a deep well of intuitive knowledge, even if they don't always acknowledge it. Their beauty isn't just skin deep, it's rooted in their soul. They may be drawn to spiritual practices, nature, or mysticism, not for show, but as a private, sacred means of self-connection. In essence, the orchid teaches February 13th souls to embrace their rarity, to honor their timing, and to bloom in their own way, because when they do, they become a living testament to the power of patience, grace, and self-acceptance. Stone horoscope, amethyst. If February 13th had a soul crystal, it would undoubtedly be amethyst, a stone as deep, mysterious, and multidimensional as the people born under this date. Often associated with spiritual protection, heightened awareness, and inner wisdom, amethyst doesn't just sit pretty in jewelry, it works. For February 13th individuals, this isn't just a birthstone. It's a tool, a mirror, and a silent teacher that amplifies their natural gifts and tames their inner storms. Amethyst vibrates at a frequency that aligns perfectly with the Aquarian psyche. It's all about mental clarity, which is essential for those born on February 13th, people who often live neck-deep in ideas, visions, and inventions. When their thoughts become too crowded, when inspiration turns into overwhelm, amethyst acts like a tuning fork, clearing out static, sharpening perception, and restoring focus. It allows them to come back to their center without dulling the edge that makes them so unique. This stone is also a known protector, energetically shielding its wearer from negative energy, emotional vampires, or environments that feel chaotic or draining. That's huge for February 13th personalities, who are incredibly intuitive but don't always realize how much they absorb from others. Just being in a tense room can throw off their mood or thought process. Wearing amethyst, especially close to the third eye or heart chakra, can serve as a subtle but strong spiritual boundary, keeping their creative and emotional energy clean. Amethyst also fosters higher thinking, something February 13th individuals are naturally drawn toward. It helps bridge the gap between intellect and intuition, which is key for this birth date. These individuals often struggle between the rational and the mystical, the measurable and the magical. Amethyst reminds them that these forces don't have to clash, they can collaborate. The result? Insightful decisions, original ideas, and powerful self-trust. Let's talk about dreams. February 13th people are often vivid dreamers with symbolic, layered sleep visions. Sleeping with amethyst under the pillow can not only enhance dream clarity but also protect against nightmares and psychic intrusion. It's like a nightly psychic filter, only allowing in what serves your soul. Many report waking up with answers to problems, sudden clarity about life decisions, or flashes of inspiration when they sleep near amethyst. Think of it as your third eye's nighttime assistant. Emotionally, amethyst is a calming presence. It's particularly helpful for managing anxiety, emotional restlessness, or existential spirals, which February 13th people are no strangers to. It encourages emotional balance without suppressing depth. You won't numb out with amethyst, you'll just feel steadier navigating your emotional terrain, especially during periods of transformation or uncertainty. Lastly, it strengthens one of February 13's most precious traits, vision. This stone helps translate high-level, abstract thinking into grounded action. It's a crystal of integration, fusing imagination with structure, dreams with strategy. And for someone born on this date, who is always balancing innovation with impact, that's the perfect kind of magic. Final thoughts. So, what does it really mean to be born on February 13th? It means you were dropped into this world not to follow, but to question, create, and awaken. It means you were born carrying a strange kind of electricity, the kind that disrupts tired narratives and lights up rooms without even trying. You are the paradox the world didn't know it needed. An inventor with emotion, a rebel with responsibility, a romantic who never stops thinking. You don't just walk your own path, you design it as you go. And that's not always easy. It can be lonely, confusing, and filled with questions that don't have clean answers. But it's also exhilarating. You have a mind that sees what others can't yet imagine, a heart that craves truth over comfort, a soul that refuses to shrink for anyone or anything. Your life isn't about fitting in, it's about tuning in to your own rhythm, your own voice, your own calling. You were never supposed to be anyone else, and the moment you fully embrace that, everything changes. You stop apologizing for your complexity. You stop dimming your brightness. You start living the way only you can. Celebrate your contradictions. They are not weaknesses, they are coordinates to your magic. Honor your quirks. They are signs of brilliance, not brokenness. Follow your curiosity like it's a compass, because it is. And most of all, don't wait for permission to become who you are. The world is waiting for the version of you that only you can unleash. And if this reading sparked something in you, whether clarity, comfort, or just curiosity, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to see you more clearly, or someone born on February 13th who deserves to feel fully seen. For more cosmic deep dives like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a star-powered story again.